This is, we've been going pretty regularly now since we got back. Dada Llama, one of our regular viewers, great that you could be here. And let us know if there's a problem with the audio. For those of you who are new, it takes an extra minute or two for us to get what you type for some reason. I'm not really sure why. So if you ask us a question, we won't see it right away. The other thing is, we try to not take questions until the end of the show. If you have a question about something that we're talking about in a given segment, we're happy to answer it. But for the most part, we'd like non-related questions to be saved until the end of the show. And with all those things said, I guess we'll just jump right in. It was, on the surface, it seemed a little bit like a slow news week, but we have a lot of stuff. There's some stuff that's kind of like as important and big and significant as news can be, but then there's a lot of other stuff that we might not even talk about on a heavier news week, but it is actually newsworthy. Our cultural grab bag, or cultural fanny pack, whatever you want to call it, is overflowing tonight. So our last segment before question and answer is going to be particularly fun. But before we get to that, we'll start with the heavier news. As you may or may not know, there has been a pretty significant offensive in the Swat Valley between the Pakistani military. I think there are tissues back there if you need them.
Yeah, people don't sneeze much on live television. I wonder why.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I know that in radio they have like cough buttons and stuff. But anyway, so there was an offensive in the Swat Valley between the Pakistani military and the Taliban, and it's causing the movement of hundreds of thousands of people, but this is not the first time they've had to move. Recently, there's been a lot of fighting there. What would you like to say about that?
We just before going on looked at the Pakistani newspapers, which of course they have several of them in English, and they're moving into the Swat Valley right now. They're the main city in Swat, which is the largest Taliban-held town in the country, Mingora, is nearly deserted. I actually saw some pictures taken showing the empty city streets, there's the offensive is going on. We also noticed that there was a story about that they handed out a bunch of promotions in the military, so they're sort of looking at shoring up support for the government there.
Yeah, and it's hard for us to tell because we're not military people, so we don't really know.
They said that 24 brigadier generals were promoted to major general, and of course the first thought that I had was, Pakistan has 24 major generals. I mean, the U.S. has like 150.
The thing is, though, Pakistan's military is per capita much larger than ours is. It's probably larger than ours in terms of people, much smaller in terms of technology, but then in terms of per capita, massively larger. Isn't that about what you'd say?
I think
they probably have as many active duty.
Yeah, I'm guessing they have a similar number of active duty people. I mean, the number that I've heard for the U.S. military is higher. It's like 1.5 million, but I don't know what their definitions are. I think those might not all be active duty.
Oh, I don't think it is active duty. I think 1.5 million...
I think the Pakistani army is something like 1 million.
I think there's something like 3 to 5 support soldiers for every active duty soldier, and 1.5 million in the U.S. Army, in the military is all of them, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, so that's what's going on in Pakistan. Oh, I lost our notepad page. Where is it? There it is. But another interesting thing about that area of the world is that the president of the leaders of two countries came to the United States and met with Obama.
During the offensive.
Yeah, Zardari and Karzai came to Washington and met with Obama.
That's gotta be tough. I mean, you're meeting with Obama, and you're constantly getting text messages from the generals on your iPhone.
Right. I mean, like the whole thing must have been very difficult. But I guess my point is, I find it interesting. I'm glad Obama's taking the time with it. I'm sorry, I'm just doing two things at once here. But it brings back up this really important thing regarding that part of the world, which is how are we negotiating with Karzai and how are we negotiating with Zardari when they're just trying to keep from being executed? Karzai can't even leave his own city, and Zardari. Did you hear that weird thing he said the other day about Bin Laden dying?
Oh yeah,
Zardari just all of a sudden out of the
of
blue said that Bin Laden had been shot, and not even Jelani, the prime minister, had heard. Like when they asked him about it, he was like, "I don't know what he's talking about."
And given that he was married to someone else who also said that Bin Laden was dead.
Well, yeah, that's another interesting factor. But I mean, the point is, like, to say that there's like instability in the civilian government in Pakistan and in Afghanistan is a massive understatement. By the way, I haven't seen any text from anybody, so let us know if our audio is good. It looks good on the meters, but I'm not sure. But what can Obama really do once he gets Karzai and Zardari in a room together? Sweet, thank you. Because those guys can't deliver. They can barely stay alive. Of course, Karzai has now kept himself alive for a pretty long time, and that's not bad for that part of the world, actually.
Yeah. Well,
what's it been, 6 years?
I don't know. How long does he actually spend there, though?
That's true. Anyway, it's just, what is Obama to do in terms of negotiation when he's negotiating with people who have such little power that, last week, just 65 miles from his capital, Zardari had the Taliban. And the reason they were there is because Zardari had made the decision that it would be easier to just give them SWAT than to deal with them. I mean, it's a little bit ridiculous when you think about it. I don't know. I'm going to add something to our cultural items list. But do you have anything else to say about...
Oh, yeah, and there was also an interesting thing that came from the talks, that there's also some kind of commercial agreement that's been reached where... India can sell things to Afghanistan and ship them across Pakistan without paying duty.
Yeah.
Which I know that, for various bizarre reasons, that Afghanistan has such an agreement with Iran, but, not apparently with Pakistan.
This has been a big deal because, for those who have been following this, obviously, for a landlocked country, which Afghanistan is, it's absolutely crucial for the U.S. and NATO troops to be able to get supplies in there. There are only 2 paved roads that go into Afghanistan from Pakistan, and they are constantly bombarded by insurgents, which is exactly what the insurgents should do. So they've been having a hell of a time
In fact, not only are there problems with bombardments and mines on the road, but there have even been bombings of the truck depots.
Right.
Several
what was
times.
It, like hundreds of trucks have been torched. So it's really important to facilitate ways to get this stuff in there. So it's significant. But it's also kind of... It tickles me a little bit because, of course, this is such a historical trade route. It seems it's so interesting to me that it's such a fought-over region right now, and the main thing is getting the stuff through there for the military. But it looks like the Amazing Atheist is having a live show right now too. Interesting. Hope I don't lose any viewers because I just said that. Anyway, so anything else to say about this? We got about a minute and a half before we need to switch segments.
Can't think of a whole lot. Oh, there's been, I've noticed some issues that, in the media, in talking about the situation in Swat, has described the Taliban instituting Sharia law in Swat, and that I don't know what they're talking about, because Pakistan is an Islamic state. It has a system of Islamic law. The Taliban just wants a different system of Sharia law than the one currently in place in Pakistan.
A much harsher version, harsher even than their medieval counterparts.
For one thing, I know that that some of the traditional punishments in Sharia law are banned by Pakistani human rights provisions in the constitution. So
anyway, all right, I guess we're gonna end segment 1. This is the end for this.